learnt from race 1 yesterday and are all revved up to go again. Speed World Challenge is next.
With a new track record of 122.
Speed Channel welcomes you to the 15th year of World Challenge Racing here at Mosport International Raceway in Ontario, Canada. Race 1 of this doubleheader GT weekend yesterday was simply stunning. What will we have in store for today? Well, the first thing that's changed is the weather is on our side. Hello everyone, I'm Lee Diffie along with Dorsey Schrader and Brian Till. Good crowd in attendance today as we get set for race 2 of GT, and the championship is well and truly alive. One solitary point is all that is in it between Viper Competition Coupe driver Tommy Archer and Audi RS6 man Mike Galati. It's very, very close right through the top 5. Well, the top 10's not even that far out either. And the Manufacturers' Championship, only 11 in it between Cadillac Dodge and Audi. Let's get it down to Brian Till with our pole sitter interview.
It did not take Ron Fellows long to get acclimated to Speed World Challenge GT competition. He qualified third for yesterday's race, set a new track record on his way to a 9th place finish after having to start from pit lane. But Ron, you got a clear shot ahead of you today, but a very different racetrack, much warmer today, and coming off the ALMS rate, a lot more debris out there. How's that going to affect the way this Cadillac handles?
I wish I could answer that, Brian, but I don't know. In my 15 years ago showroom stock kind of racing, it tends to get a little greasy when you've got all that race rubber down there. So we'll see. We didn't get a chance to do our standing start yesterday either. So this will be our first try. We'll have some fun. I want to thank all the guys at Pratt Miller and GM Racing for giving me a chance to run here at home in a Cadillac CTSV. This is cool.
I don't think it really matters what Ron Fellows is in. Always a threat to win when he comes here to Mosport. But someone else who is a threat to win, Michael Culver. He starts outside the front row in his Porsche, his best qualifying to date in Speed World Challenge GT competition.
Thanks, Brian. Fellows said yesterday that he caught that lead group, but once he caught them, he couldn't do anything with them. We'll find out what he can do today, starting from the front. It's a great track. Fellows knows it well. So too does Dorsey Schrader.
Mosport's always been one of my favorite racetracks, and the reason is high-speed corners. Downhill through turn 1 and through turn 2, then a climbing turn to 3. Turn 5A, 5B, the Moss corner is the only time you're ever slow on this racetrack, and the straightaway isn't straight. Up to 170 miles per hour, it's one of the more awesome racetracks on the planet.
And a very much an old-fashioned style racetrack as well. Time now to take a look at the grid. Ron Fellows, as Brian mentioned, his first World Challenge pole. Mike Culver, his best career grid position. Well done to him. Leighton Reese, can he bounce back after race 1? Got shuffled back a few positions, and Andy Pilgrim in a very strong 4th place. Lou Gilotti finished 10th, but he was challenging for a podium in race 1. He's nicely positioned right alongside Max Angelelli. Mike McCann, great qualifying effort to be on the 4th row alongside the reigning champion. And we take a look at row 5. The Audis are doing it a little tougher today. Jim McCann shares row 5 with Mike Galati. Tommy Archer, well, he came from 10th to 3rd in the first. What can he do from 11th?
Well, that's a good question. I'm sure we're about to find that out, and I am wondering why is he that far back. Now, Phil McClure, who we saw do so well before, is at the back of the field today, as he had to do some work.
Changed out an engine. So, as the rule states, you must go to the back. Last minute update from Brian Till.
Well, you talk about how competitive this Speed World Challenge GT field is and what rewards weight does. All you have to do is look at yesterday's podium. Michael Galati won and gained 75 pounds. He will start 9th today. His teammate Randy Popes finished 2nd and gained 40 pounds, or 60 pounds, I should say. He'll roll off in 8th position, and Tommy Archer, who finished 3rd, will roll off 12th today. The rewards weight, it definitely is a reward, at least of some type, guys.
2 drivers we must keep an eye on that are only separated by 1 point. Tommy Archer and Michael Galati. Here's fast Phil McClure. Look at the power of that Aggregate Industries Corvette. Phil will have some work to do starting dead last. Onboard shots with not only Phil McClure, but also Tony Gaples.
Tony, of course, had to start at the back. Engine changed last time. Andy Pilgrim in the Cadillac give us a good ride today.
And so too will Ron Fellows. the inside spot for pole position.
Now you got to wonder, what are these Audis going to do being that far back when we know how they do the standing start, how much grip they got? I mean, where are they going to go with all that speed when they're back on the 4th row?
Cadillac will be pleased. They have locked out qualifying this weekend. Angelelli with pole in race 1, Fellows with pole in race 2. Also, who got a great start in the weekend opener was Michael Culver. Keep your eye on that white Porsche starting outside the front row. This is what it looks like to be at the back of the pack with Phil McClure.
I don't like that look. That's not a good look.
Moments away here at Mosport, the only doubleheader weekend of the year. 1 point in the championship. The Manufacturers' Championship is wide open as well. First race was the best we've seen this year. What have we got now? Fellows lights it up.
Popes did the grass with the Audi on all-wheel drive. It makes up 2 rows.
Impatient, fast, and efficient.
Oh,
around goes Popes, and Galati might have got nudged there.
I think he did. I think he got bumped right there by the Viper. We saw a wiggle.
The McCann brothers sharing their starting rows with the
trouble,
Audi pair. Popes has gone out. Whoa,
That's
he's
a big
sideways in the
accident
dirt.
coming. Oh, man, I've been there before.
Oh, Randy.
That's what I talked about. You get off of turn 2, you don't come back. There's just no stopping the car on a downhill grade like that. Major damage to the Audi.
Well, he showed as soon as the lights went out, he was all fired up for this
And
one
look
today.
at the grill. The radiator's been punctured. His day's done.
Ron Fellows leads Leighton Reese, Lou Gelati. Here's the replay.
Watch the outside. You're going down a steep hill. Once you get that slide going, you hit this grass. No way are you going to, even with all-wheel drive, you see him battling it, but there's no way. It's just a death spiral right down here. Bam!
There was an interesting point where he finally got out of the throttle. He's still in it there.
Yeah, he's trying to claw his way back to the track. Now he's done. He knows it. There's no stopping this.
And thank goodness for the tire barriers. Meanwhile, it's Cadillac, Corvette. Leighton Reese chasing Ron Fellows. Lou Gelati in behind.
Ron Fellows, I cannot emphasize enough that he is the master at this racetrack. He actually grew up on this track, learning his trade.
Inside, Leighton Reese takes a look. We've got an update from race control that Michael Culver, you may remember it. I remember seeing it just a little bit. He rolled ever so slightly on the line and will have to come in for a stop-go penalty. Meanwhile, here is the very much wounded RS6.
Look at this. On board with Andy Pilgrim. Look in front of you there. There goes Randy. Andy knows. See you, buddy.
The other thing you saw in that onboard shot was Culver almost lost it as well. Good job to hang on to it on the inside, but his race will take a negative slant.
Yeah, he did.
Because he has to come in for that stop go.
He did roll a little bit right before the green. He moved just ever so slightly, but they caught it. Busted.
Riding with Andy Pilgrim. He was in the middle of a great battle in race 1 with McClure, with Archer, Leighton Reese, and basically the same bunch are hard at it again, but a different guy up front.
Why should we expect anything different, except you got Ron Fellows at the front this time?
This goes to show the balance of the series as far as the cars, the weight, the rewards weight, the speed, etc. It's all coming into line nicely here at this track. Down to the pits, Brian.
Well, Randy Popes has brought his very badly damaged Audi into pit lane. Obviously holes in the radiator, some major suspension damage to the right front. This car is done for the day. His crew told me, Lewis Malone said he'll bring it back to the pits if it doesn't overheat, but we know we got to puncture a radiator. I think we're done.
Don't stand in front of that car, Brian.
Wow. Reigning champion. It's all over right here, right now. Tough day for him at Mosport. Randy Popes is out of it. Mike Galati, Ron Fellows, still very much in it.
8:30 Pacific, only on Speed.
Speed Channel's coverage of the Speed GT Championship is brought to you by Toyo Tires, driven to perform. Back at Mosport, and you ride with Ron Fellows, poleman, race leader, and a whole new experience this weekend for Ron. His first in Speed World Challenge, his first races, plural, I say that because it's a double header weekend. This is his second appearance in the Cadillac CTSV, and no rewards weight on that car as far as anything significant. So he is running well up front.
Flying, I'd say. And once you put Ron Fellows in front of a pack on this racetrack, it's a place he's very familiar with, let me tell you that.
Best run we've seen of the year for Leighton Reese as well to sit second. And a good solid second as well. He has a margin over Lou Gelati, who is falling back into the clutches of Andy Pilgrim.
Leighton Reese and Lou Gelati, both for that matter, had a lot of laps around here in Trans Am competition.
Max Angelelli starting to turn up the heat now on Tommy Archer. This is the thing about Tommy Archer, you don't notice it until you get a little bit into the race. He started 11 and he's running 5th.
Well, he's very smart, that Tommy Archer. You know, he's very low profile. He's going to sit back here, not get all that rewards, wait till the end of the seasons where his car won't run right. He's leading the points by 1. I mean, look at him. He's very smart, calculated man.
Angelelli takes a look on the inside up into the S's, but thinks twice. Further back, you've got them. I think it's Mike McCann holding off Mike Gelati. Gelati, the winner of race 1 this weekend, must be thinking, boy, oh boy, that extra little bit of rewards weight has done something.
And Angelelli, under a little bit of scrutiny by the Cadillac boys after the 2 big crashes he had, I'm sure he's been told, do not hurt that race car this time.
Yeah, settle it down, be a little more patient. I know that Max was beating himself up pretty badly about those 2 errors. Now here's Brian Till with Randy Popes.
Well, Randy Popes just climbed from his mortally wounded Audi, and you know, Randy, there's no one that tries harder every single lap than you, but this extra 60 pounds of rewards weight, do you think that had anything to do, that first lap going down into turn 2?
No. I wish I could make up some excuse, but
Giving you an option.
I went for it, Brian. I went for it, and I went a little too hard. It was going great up until turn 2, wasn't it? I mean, certified Audi RS6s have Quattro in this case, and Champion Racing did a great job of building me a car, and I just went a little too hard. I was trying to go down into 2 and thought I had maybe a shot at Leighton Jew, but then I thought, no, cool, I'll just fall in behind him, but I just didn't get her slowed down. And it's just too bad. I apologize to Champion Racing, and like I say, I went for it, but I went a little too hard.
Well, Randy Popes, the true champion. It just shows you how competitive GT is. You got to try to get every spot when you can, and sometimes it just doesn't go your way, guys.
Well, the big advantage on those Audis we know is the start, the standing start, the Quattro. They just take off like crazy, and it's a free given that they can try and get by some people, but in this particular case, a little too much greed.
Jim McCann holding off Tim Weens here, and one of the news stories for this second race, Chip Herr filling in for Tom Oates in the Tiger Racing Corvette. Big gap back there. You see Phil McClure. He's made his way through nicely. Next one on his list is Mike Gelati.
And again, Phil McClure from the back, since he had to do an engine change, he's got the Corvette storming toward the front.
Beautiful sounding car. With more on Phil McClure, here's Brian.
Well, Phil McClure up from 21st starting position to 9th in just 6 laps. He had to start from the back. They had a sensor problem with inside the engine block, something they could not get to, so they had to change engine. He had to start at the back, but McClure certainly knows his way around this tricky Mosport circuit. He won here last year, starting in 9th, moved his way up and won that race. So Phil McClure certainly understanding this Mosport circuit.
I wonder if the sensor problem was the oil pump inside the engine not turning anymore, resulting in that blowing. I don't know. You get all these stories, but in any event.
See that there, Dorsey? We just got a shot up going up the Andretti straight that he can see Mike Gelati up ahead. How much does that egg you on and really motivate you?
That's a great deal. I mean, you're running blind until you can actually see the adversary in front of you. Once you make eye contact with that car, some of the magic happens. You just start whittling away at it, and it gives you the extra adrenaline. And that's where he's at right now. He sees up ahead that Audi, and he wants it.
There is Andy Pilgrim still behind Lou Gelati. Meanwhile, his teammate Max Angelelli has got by Tommy Archer. So he puts the 3R Racing machine back 1. And here comes Angelelli. I guess we can say maybe perhaps a more relaxed, more controlled Max Angelelli after learning the hard way at Infineon Raceway and at Portland.
2 Corvette guys in front of him, like I said, have a lot of experience in Trans Am here. Lou Gelati and Leighton Reese ran many, many races in Corvettes right at the same racetrack. And these cars are very similar to what Corvettes used to be like.
Leighton Reese has won here back in 1991. GM cars fill the first 5 positions. That's why those boys look happy. Hi, Doug. Hope you're enjoying it.
Why
Fancy the chance to check out the latest road tests of the most exotic European supercars? Well, you'll get that and a whole lot more Monday nights with Fifth Gear right here on Speed, and that's from 9 Eastern. Welcome back to Mosport, and we were speaking about this gap, the margin between Mike Galati and fast Phil McClure. Phil is fast right now because that gap is now nothing. What a car length if that.
Well, he not only saw him, but he took it all back away from him. He's right on the back bumper of Mike Galati right now, trying to find a way by, and I think the straightaway is where it's going to happen. Remember that the Audi's got some extra weight on it, and it's going to really hinder it coming off this Moss Corners right here.
Mike McCann doing a good job holding Galati at bay. The Viper Competition Coupe, the McCann Plastics team, he and his brother Jim have learned a lot in this year's World Challenge competition.
Have to believe Phil McClure's Corvette is going to have some muscle on this Audi, although they're all in a big draft together. Helps a little bit.
And it's almost like when you reflect on last year's championship compared to this, it's almost like they've completely turned around. And what I mean is the Audi pairing of Randy Pobst and Mike Galati. Last year it was Galati who was running off, crashing, or experiencing bad luck, mechanical failures, etc. And it was Randy who was getting the finishes, the consistent points. This year, it's Michael doing that.
You know what? Sometimes luck plays the big part of it, too. You know, you get behind the 8 ball because of some mechanical failure one weekend or whatever. You try harder for the next weekend to get a win, then you crash because you're trying too hard, and it's a death spiral. I mean, you see it all the time. And you're right, it's a role reversal. Now Michael Galati on the upper end of the things. Randy Pobst running into all the difficulty.
You get the feeling McClure is about to pounce. It's Corvette versus Audi.
So the Audi with the advantage with the acceleration off the corner. That's not surprising with the all-wheel drive. However, what did surprise me is that Phil McClure really didn't do anything with him up straightaway. Little slip and slide there under entry to Moss Corners. Now Phil's in too tight. He's going to have a terrible exit.
Everyone was throwing it loose there. McCann got sideways, then Galati got affected by that, and Phil thought he had an inside run.
Yeah, and he turned to the inside, and in doing so, he pinched off the second part of that corner, which kills the straightaway.
Looks like this trio are starting to make inroads on Tommy Archer as well. And remember, it's Galati versus Archer in the championship chase. Only a point between them.
Look at the hood on Galati's car going up and down, buffeting from the wind coming off of the Viper in front of it. Remember, these cars are doing well over 140 miles per hour. We've had a crash down here. The 53 of Hartman has gone into the tire wall. I think that's
Mike Hartley.
Hartley is same place. Got off on the bottom of turn 2. There you see it. And like I say, when you get off down there, you always end up where he's at.
Speaking from experience?
Yeah, I've been there. There didn't used to be a concrete wall there. There used to be a tire wall, and I've been to the backside of that one, too. Actually, he's further down the road a little bit. But if you get off there in either event.
Check this battle. It's getting more and more intriguing. Because as they make ground on Archer, this could very well become a 4-way battle. Tommy Archer in the first of the Viper Competition Coupes, then it's Mike McCann, Mike Galati and Phil McClure. And it's great experience for Mike McCann to be running with this caliber of driver.
This corner, although it's the slowest on the racetrack, is also the trickiest because you're coming uphill, then you go across the top of the hill, then it goes downhill, and the car gets loosened up right in the middle, so the line really important. Plus that exit onto this straightaway. That big V8 thundering down that straight.
Chip Herr has made one move. As we see Tony Gaples, Herr has been able to round up Tim Weens. Now Tim Weens has to keep an eye out for the Black Dog Racing Corvette of Tony Gaples. We ride with Tony now. Tony's had a tough weekend of it, being forced to start from pit lane yesterday. Now he's making his way through the field again.
Watch turn 1 up here. Unbelievable. Really fast. Go downhill totally blind. You can't see around the corner at all. Apex right here. Back on the throttle. Headed for turn 2. It's even scarier down here.
Chasing the 3R Viper of Tim Weens. Brian has more.
Well, Tim Weens and his Viper not showing as well as they had hoped. Actually, the whole 3R team with their Vipers not doing as well as they would like. Tommy Archer, even though he finished 3rd yesterday, started 11th today. Tim Weens started back in 13th. He's running well back today. The Vipers were thought to be very fast in a straight line, but what a lot of people didn't take into consideration, a lot of high-speed corners around this Mosport circuit, and without a lot of downforce on that slick Viper, that really hurts them around this very fast racetrack, guys.
Mosport's been a track that has been kind to Tommy's brother, Bobby, a 3 times winner here in World Challenge at Mosport. Meanwhile, it is all Ron Fellows.
How do you keep it only on speed?
Welcome back to Mosport, and as you can see, we are under our first full course yellow of the day. The reason is because of Mike Hartley's Viper into the tyre wall outside turn 2. Here's the replay.
Clearly just gets off on the outside. Like I say, once you get that grass at that speed, there's just no possible way you're going to get stopped or turned. The wall gets you every time.
Kind of like it sucks you in.
It sucks you in big time, and it just takes that right front tire falling off the road, and the rest of it just follows.
Cadillac, Corvette, Cadillac, GM cars very well represented, all in the top 5 as the rest of the field get a chance to take a breather, including Phil McClure. What's he got left in the second half? Brian tells us.
Well, Phil McClure had a great run going. Started way back in 21st, worked his way up to 9th. That's where he sits right now. And I actually went to Dax Robb to ask him how long he could run it at that pace and keep tires on it. But the problem, it seems, is not tires. They have no oil pressure. Remember, they changed that engine, but whether that's a loose fitting or there's some other problem with that motor, they're not sure, but no oil pressure. They will bring him in this lap to try to tighten some fittings, see if they can figure out what the problem is, but they want to make it to halfway. If they make it to halfway, they'll be able to take some weight off that car. Leighton Reese also running very well today, seeing if he can improve on his best finish of 5th at Infineon. He's running 2nd right now. He said, we're content to run a pace when it goes green and stay behind Ron Fellows right now. We want to make sure we have something at the end for him. I'm not sure anybody ever has anything for Ron Fellows around this racetrack, guys.
I just think it's great that Leighton Reese is getting a chance to run up front in the Banner Engineering Corvette. He's thrilled to be back in the World Challenge, loves the GT class, and this undoubtedly is his race of the year.
And like I say, he's got a lot of experience around here in a Trans Am car, and a Trans Am car of some years back is about the same as what these cars are now. These are fast race cars.
Everyone taking a breather. The Hartley situation being cleaned up, fans enjoying seeing Ron out in front, and we'll go racing when we return. Tuesday nights on Speed, check out Nopi Tuner Vision. Part drag racing, part show car, throw in a swimsuit competition, plenty of burnouts and lots of showing off. And you've got not just a day at the drag races, but a tuner lifestyle. Nopi Tuner Vision, Tuesdays at 7:30 Eastern. Welcome back. We're still under caution, but getting close to going back to racing. Oh, no.
Phil McClure. And you know what that means with no oil pressure, that white smoke.
So it looks pretty much like the day is done for Phil McClure. Still moving, but not looking good. Brian, what do you have?
Phil McClure just came into the pits. His crew raised the hood on his Corvette, looked underneath it, no oil anywhere. They checked all the fittings, could not figure out why he had no oil pressure, so they sent him back out. He made it 2 or 3 corners down the racetrack, and the engine, it has expired. So indeed, it had no oil pressure, and he's left a lot of that oil that they couldn't find when they looked for the leak. He's left it on the racetrack, guys.
Well, I can tell him, you know, why it has no oil pressure, because it's done blowed up.
Yeah.
That's a shame for Phil McClure. Let's look at what happens and listen and see if we can hear this thing go. Look at the vibration on the roof. You see the vibration on the roof? It just completely disintegrated right there. Phil gets the clutch in right away. That's why it quit shaking, and he heads for out of bounds.
Right into the area that was the site of Mike Hartley's accident. So, and also Randy Pope. So it's been a hot spot today.
That
so
hood
we
shaking.
will remain under caution.
That was the death rattle that we talk about. Put the clutch in and shut her off.
Make the most of this caution period to squeeze in another quick commercial break and go racing when we return. Can Ron Fellows get his first World Challenge win? Set for the restart here at Mosport International Raceway, round 7 of the Speed GT Championship, and the local superstar Ron Fellows leads this field onto the front straight. Nice, clean, clear track. Here we go, back to racing at Mosport. And Fellows really is in the box seat. Lou Gelati looks for an inside run in turn 1, not close enough on Leighton Reese.
Good job for Fellows right there on that restart. You saw him get squared up on the straightaway before he got on the throttle. No wheel spin, he just takes off. This is Andy Pilgrim in the other Cadillac in 4th place going through turn 2 right now. Trying to find a way by Lou Gelati, and if you touch him right there, you definitely will get by.
As I was saying in race 1, Pilgrim really has shown what just keeping composed and cool can do for your championship hopes.
Well, that's how he drives, and it's how he always has driven. You know, he just sits back there, and he's kind of like, we talk about Archer all the time. He sits back and analyzes the situation, and then commits when he needs to.
Look at Gelati going for that inside line.
Now go up the inside, go up the inside.
Whoa,
almost.
Lou gets it crossed up.
Well, when the guy goes to the inside like Lou did, he's going to go wide on the exit. Normally, you can put your nose in there.
On board with Michael Gelati. Tommy Archer immediately ahead.
It's a battle for 6, and this is up the straightaway. I'm surprised that Gelati hasn't stayed behind the Viper and benefited from the draft a little bit more. It definitely pulls you along up this hill.
These are the two at the top of the championship tree. The guy in front in the C3 Controls Viper. That's the man who leads by a point over this man. But look out, who's behind? Mike McCann wants a run here. So he's been shuffled back, but he is not out of it. Mike Culver starting to make his way back through the field as well. He's back in 13th, but not for too much longer. He's making his way forward. Speaking of that points battle, Brian has his take.
Well, on the racetrack, as on the point sheet, Tommy Archer in front of Michael Gelati by the slimmest of margins. Only 1 point separates them in the championship right now, and only tenths of a second separates them on the racetrack. And it should go this way all the way to the end of the race. What a great battle we have here in GT today, guys.
Well, I tell you what, I heard just right then, riding along with Michael Gelati, the front tires on these Audis have been the nemesis of them, and I'm hearing the tires squeal. When he turns in the corner, I hear the chirping of the front tires, which means they're getting really hot and they're giving up the ghost.
A lot more sunshine today compared to yesterday. Warm temperatures this weekend. He has got his hands full, hasn't he?
Yeah, he does. Riding on board here with Tony Caples, he's in 13th position presently, and looking back, that's exactly where he started at. So he's running at the speed that he was qualified at, for sure.
Trying to bridge that gap to Tim Williams.
Yeah, the other car's right there in front of him. You know, you look at those cars and you want to get to them. Sometimes you just can't. You're just going as quick as you can.
Leighton Reese is in no man's land. No one immediately ahead. Fellows is too far out, and he's got a good margin over Lou Gelati. The two championship hopefuls here fighting it out behind the two caddy boys, Pilgrim and Angelelli. Very evenly matched. Can they do anything about Lou Gelati?
Tell you what, Leighton Reese is really impressing me, doing a great job today. Even though he's in a kind of a lonely second all by himself, he's running in front of some really good cars. Here are the tires, listen. Hear that squealing. He misses his apex there by just a little bit. Car just doesn't want to turn anymore.
Talk about the hood there.
That's actually air pressure as the air's dumping off of those cars in front. There's so much turbulence, and that hood is of course made out of carbon fiber, and it's pushing it and just completely collapsing the center part of it. Trans Am cars would always do that too. There's a lot of buffeting that comes off these rear wings of these fast cars.
Jim McCann holding off Chip Herr and Mike Culver after that stop-go penalty at the beginning of the race.
Chip Herr got up on the curb right there, did not get a particularly good launch, and Michael Culver might be able to capitalize on that on the top end of the straightaway.
I'd be surprised if we don't see more Porsches in this championship next year. Mike Culver has shown as an independent runner, as a privateer, that Porsches can run competitively in this championship. Let's get an update on Chip Herr. Here's Brian.
Chip Herr doing a great job in Tom Oates' number 99 Corvette. Oates took himself out of that car, said he just wasn't into it mentally, so he put the rookie Chip Herr in that car. Herr doing a great battle with Jim McCann for 9th position, but Michael Culver all over the back of him. You'll remember Culver started outside the front row, but a jump at the start brought him in for a stop-and-go penalty. He had to go all the way back to the back, and he is working his way back up through.
I agree with you, Lee, that Michael Culver is a very, very fast car. He doesn't have any reward weight on the car either, for that matter, but more Porsches belong in this series, and I think they'll be at the front when they get here.
Chipper has his hands full, holding Culver off. He qualified on the front row for the first time in his World Challenge career, Mike Culver. That will give him some motivation. He'll be frustrated for rolling at the start. There's no frustration in this cockpit. Ron is cool.
We are in.
Closing stages of round 7
Trouble.
of the Speed GT, and Mike Culver has got problems in the rear left of that car.
Take
Is
a
it
look.
tire rub, Dorse?
Looks like it's coming out of the fender well. Yeah, I think he's got fender pushed in on the tire, and that's not good around here, as most of these corners, are high-load corners, are right-handers.
Tim Weens has already rounded him up. Tony Gapel's getting set to. Here's the replay of the start.
This is where he jumps. Look, see him? Just inched ahead a little bit. Wasn't much, but it's enough to gain him a penalty.
Talk us through the ruling on that, Dorsey, after we finish this replay. Woo!
Ooh, that's getting tight. Well, you're not supposed to move. The car's not supposed to move until those lights go out.
Watch Culver here on the left. Watch him, watch him. Whoa!
Oh, man, that was nearly a big, and there goes Randy Pope's off the outside. Culver almost went with him.
That's what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
We were focusing on Randy, but I just noticed that out of the corner of my eye.
If he had lost it, Culver, he would have taken this Cadillac as well as Randy Pope's, who was already having his own accident.
So, pretty eventful day for Mike Culver.
So that's not good, that fender rubbing that hard. Like I say, all the real high load corners are right-handers here, which makes it lean on that left tire.
We climb on board to 12 with Ron Fellows. Let's enjoy the sounds of speed.
This is only one man that I would indeed ride around this racetrack as a passenger in a car with. Ron Fellow's been here a lot in his career. I've raced against him as a teammate, and I've raced against him as a combatant. And I feel pretty secure riding with him, except one year he turned over this Camaro down here and went over the wall. Maybe I wouldn't ride with him. Never mind.
Well, he sure is doing a fine job at the moment. Put it on pole, great time. Settling into this Cadillac CTS-V. Remember too, totally different gearbox system as far as in his Corvette C5R.
Everything's
it's
different.
a flat. It's no shift, no lift to shift, and
Well, there's no downforce.
different.
You don't have any tires on these cars like he's used to on the other car. And Ron was a great showroom stock racer, so he knows how to get it done. But it's a lot harder after you come out of something like the Corvette and step backwards in time, if you will, into a more of a street-based car like this. You have to drive within the limitations of the tire and of the car.
Archer doing a nice job to still hold Michael Gallardi off. We ride with Gallardi now.
Michael did a good job. He narrowed up both of those corners. He turned in a little early, a little shallow, because he's got a lot of understeer. So he turned in early, and he gave up the speed in the middle of the corner, so he didn't scrub the front tires. And they got a good exit shot because of that.
Gapel's finally making a move now on Mike Culver. This is the battle for 11th. We saw Tim Weens get by the Porsche. Has Tony got enough now?
It looks like Michael Culver's car is fixed. Now there's a little bit of smoke right there, tire smoke.
Great
oh,
pass.
He's got it by. Yep, outside pass.
Held it on for a little bit longer before slamming on the anchors.
Now Culver can smell that. He can smell that rubber burning, and there's a little bit of wisp of blue smoke that gets in the car with him. Here he comes in the pits.
Very trying day for Michael Culver, and I'm sure he didn't think it would go this way after starting on the front row.
You see the tire mark right in front of the fender that is the one that's rubbing. He smells that, and the crew knows about it as well.
The man who Monday to Friday is part of a consortium that bought out the Skip Barber Racing organization.
They're not really in much of a hurry to fix his problem, though.
Tough getting that rear wheel out too.
Oh, you can see on the tire as they pull it off, you can see the wear mark where it's been rubbing, and it certainly will have cut down that tire had he not stopped.
Back up front, Lou Gilotti, set for his first podium of the year. We said this in race 1 as well, but it didn't quite happen. Well, he's in no danger of getting hit this time round. Looking good. Let's hear more about Michael Culver.
Michael Culver brought his damaged number 14 Porsche in. He had contact with Chip Hurd. You can see damage to the left rear of the car and a lot of wear on that left rear tire. He's now gone and away, but that penalty and now this contact definitely hurts his chances for a good finish here in Mosport.
Yeah, it's all done. It's all done with for today, sadly. Michael is Canadian as well, so a big weekend. He had high hopes coming into it. When we return, we will take you to the checkered flag here at Mosport. Fellows is looking good.
Mom, Dad, I got in.
Closing stages of the Speed World Challenge GT Part 2. The doubleheader weekend as we ride with Andy Pilgrim in fourth. His teammate, his extra teammate for this weekend, Ron Fellows, is well and truly out in front.
And again, Fellows running with no rewards weight, whereas Andy is carrying some weight, so that could be a difference of its own right. These GM guys will be awful happy if they can do this finish like it is. It'll be a 1-2-3 GM sweep. Cadillac on top. A couple of Corvette independent guys doing a great job today.
And understandably, it's all worked very well for Ron Fellows because of Pratt & Miller's involvement with the Cadillac program. Look at the top of your screen. Watch the red and silver Audi. Mike Gallardi, woo!
Oh, that could be a big problem. That's the exit of turn one at over 100 miles an hour as it gets it off. Look at this, now watch. Now remember, he's understeering. You can hear the tires squealing before he just lost grip at the front end, and off the road he goes. Recovers nicely, however.
Now that was tame compared to what we saw him do at Lime Rock.
Oh, absolutely.
He can handle it in a sideways drift, no problem.
But now Lou Gelati has dropped back and is in the clutches of the two Cadillacs. Pilgrim right there and right behind that.
Max Angelelli. I think
they have no straightaway speed for the Corvette.
No,
look at that.
No, I think Lou Gelati has got it. He is.
Well, once you know that you can run the straightaway that good and open the lead like that, and Lou will have known that, then you don't have to do anything about this lap. You just ride along there, and when you get the straightaway, you just pull the trigger and say, see ya.
And he's good at some pretty nifty maneuvers, though. Let's get Brian Till's take on this.
Well, Lou Gelati doing his best to hold off Andy Pilgrim for these last couple of laps here at Mosport. I just spoke to Louis Gelati, Lou's son, who is the crew chief on that car. He said, just trying to keep Dad calm. We've got good straight line speed. We're not worried about Pilgrim getting past. We thought we could catch the guys in front, but it's all about finishing on the podium right now. Dad just needs to stay calm and we'll be good to the end.
So you hear right there Lou Gelati Jr. saying his dad's already radioed in. We got good straight line speed. That's all you need. If you get on that straightaway on the backside, even if Pilgrim's all over the back of you, and you can run straightaway numbers here, then your day is a long one.
Just worried about Brian saying keeping Lou calm. Last time we mentioned that, right after that, he got hit, and that took him out of the battle for the podium. But I don't think that'll happen this time around with Andy Pilgrim.
Now watch how
right
close,
there.
right here. Pilgrim not that far behind, some 4 or 5 car lengths, but watch what happens on the straightaway. I mean, the Corvette just flexes the muscle.
Back up front, Ron Fellows is working his way toward the white flag. He's just a little over 1 lap from home, and a win that will be very much celebrated by the Canadian fans here today.
That's a fact. I mean, he has a lot of fans at Mosport, and Mosport has a lot of road racing fans. There's always been a big crowd up here. They love their race car drivers. They love their drivers when they're from Canada, for sure.
He's on his way home, and there are the Cadillacs, some of the Corvette boys, and a lot of the Pratt & Miller guys in there cheering him on. I touched on it earlier in the show, the diversity of cars that this man's driven at a high level. Nextel Cup cars, and that's including this year as well. Of course, his ALMS campaign in GTS, Trans Am. Now this is the Speed World Challenge. He's done the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
Well, he's the most versatile driver from Canada, that's for sure, ever has been. Can put him in anything, and he's competitive, no question. He absolutely loves race car driving, and you know, got to say, he was my teammate for a long time, and he's getting up in his years, so I'm glad to see him doing so well still.
And his early feedback was that he enjoys driving this beautiful, beautiful race car. And he's shown it. Here's his teammate, though, Pilgrim. And he wants a podium here in Mosport, and he's got about a quarter of a lap to do it.
But watch what happens. See, I wouldn't want to be a Corvette. Just checking out. Cadillac has nothing for the Gelati Corvette.
And the big thing that will change after this is that Lou Gelati will get rewards weight for his podium if he can hang there for just the period of the S's and half the front straight.
Great effort by him, no doubt about it. Him and Leighton Reese, both 2 independent Corvette drivers, did a great job today.
6 different winners in 7 races, and Ron Fellows becomes that 6th different winner. Wonderful win for Fellows. Congratulations to him. And Lou Gelati picks up his first podium of the year, and Leighton Reese finishes a fine 2nd. Further back in the field, it's not over with yet. Tony Gaples working on Jim McCann. Last corner, last lap.
Oh, he hit him. I thought that was a little optimistic. I mean, holy cow, you can't just take out 20 car lengths in one corner, I don't think.
What happened? Where is Jim, though? Where is McCann?
I think McCann actually gathered it up, believe it or not. Somehow held on to the Viper and got her across the finish line.
Youch. That was what's called a big dive bomb move.
Yeah, a little optimistic.
But here is the race winner.
Let's look at that thing all over again. McCann with a great save. I mean, this is unbelievable. Watch this. A dive to the inside. Here he turns in for the apex, not knowing. Hit right there. Just did a heck of a good job of keeping that under control. The Viper.
Tim Ween slips through as well. Back on board with Tony Gaples.
Now watch. Here's a dive. This is real shallow entry, a lot of speed. Bam. Gaples pays the price for the mistake he made.
Lucky he drifted out to the outside there too, as Weens was able to whip on by. Well, coming back after the break, no need to guess, we will talk to that man there. Speed Channel's coverage of the Speed GT Championship is brought to you by Toyo Tires, driven to perform. Outstanding day for Cadillac here in Mosport, and Brian Tiller's with them.
Well, a very happy Cadillac team down here. Andy Pilgrim, Ron Fellows, and Max Angelelli. Andy picks up a point and moves over Randy Popst in the points. Max, a good finish for you, and Ron Fellows, the mayor of Mosport, as we referred to him the other day. A tremendous job for you. You got a 4-door now. You can take the whole family racing with you.
I like Cadillacs. We had this is great. I want to thank GM Racing, Brett Miller, all the guys who work on the car, Scott Neal Bryan, Lynn Bishop. This was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun. This was cool to get the opportunity to race here at home and do 2 races or 3 races in one weekend. This was cool, and I thank GM Racing and Harry Turner, Dave Spitzer for the opportunity.
Well, this whole Cadillac team, very much a class act, but they don't come any classier than Ron Fellows, guys.
Very pleasing to see Ron come up with that victory. And as I mentioned earlier, 6th different winner in 7 races. We are having a brilliant Speed GT Championship for Leighton Reese, Lou Gelati, their first podiums of the year. And the ever-consistent Andy Pilgrim just keeps chipping away. Tough day for Phil McClure back there in 19th place, so too Michael Culver. Time to hear from our 2nd place man. Leighton Reese is with Brian Till.
Well, Leighton Reese definitely improving on his best finish of a 5th in the Speed World Challenge, and a great race today. I thought maybe you were saving some tires for Ron there at the end, but it looked like that long green at the end just couldn't catch up with him.
Well, I was getting some good tire coaching from my good buddy, Minnesota buddy Tommy Archer on tire wear, but we had a little more motor on Ron, but boy, that Cadillac's got some chassis, but you know, it's an all GM podium, and we're all kind of a little bit of a family here, so we're all happy about that. And just thrilled to put the Banner Corvette up in the on the podium.
Well, these guys improving every weekend. Something tells me it won't be the last time you see Leighton Reese on a podium in a Speed World Challenge GT event.
Yeah, well done, Leighton. Super run. And 1 point coming into this race. It only changes by a point. Now 2, separating Archer and Gelati. Andy Pilgrim well and truly in it, ahead of Popst and Angelelli. Well, first podium of the year for Leighton Reese. First podium of the year for Lou Gelati. He's with Brian.
Well, for Lou Gelati, a battle all race long, and it's kind of funny that for once the kid is in pit lane trying to calm Dad down on the racetrack instead of vice versa. Good to have Lewis talking to you the whole race.
Lewis is the man. He's the man. My crew is the best. You know, the Chambers family for helping me to get here, Keith Bedetto. And I just want to say, you know, Redline Oil, our LG Pro long tube header Corvette is really, all weekend has been really fast, and we just got kind of stolen out of the podium yesterday, and this makes up for it. Even though the car wasn't very good in turn 5, I was looking pretty shabby back there.
Good run for Lou Gelati, and that will ease some of the frustration from earlier in the year. Time to talk about the Remus power move of the race. Tony Gaples on Mike Culver.
The power move is correct as he powers alongside the Porsche, going up the long back straightaway, headed toward Turn 9, which is a pretty scary corner, particularly if you're taking it on the outside of the man you're trying to pass. There it is.
Beautiful move by Tony Gaples. Dorsey, running out of time, final thoughts.
Well, you know, great race again. These cars all top 5 GM. That's something has to be dealt with, I think. The Audi guys will be whining.
Well, it was a hard day for the reigning champion, Randy Popes, but he will bounce back at Road America, our next race on the Speed World Challenge schedule. Scary moment there for Randy Popes. On behalf of Brian Till and Dorsey Schrader, I'm Lee Diffie. Thanks for joining us at Mosport. We congratulate our winners from this doubleheader weekend, particularly Ron Fellows. A one-off appearance, and he made the most of it. See you at Road America.